Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, PA HMIS Privacy and Security Training, July 14th, 2021. Antonio Diaz, PA HMIS Administrator, DCED. Privacy. Collecting and sharing participants' personal information is often a necessary aspect of helping to resolve their housing crisis. When you participate in PA-HMIS, you need to understand the responsibility to protect client information and be able to articulate those responsibilities to clients in a meaningful way. Privacy is the control over the extent, timing, and circumstances of sharing oneself physically, behaviorally, or intellectually with others. Privacy consists of ensuring specific measures are in place when dealing with personal information and includes directives on when it is collected and how much that information is used and how that information is shared with others. Definitions. Covered Homeless Organization, CHO. Any organization including employees, volunteers, and contractors that records, uses, or processes protected personal information. This is what we commonly refer to within PA-HMIS as an agency and includes all associated staff. Personal protected information. Any information about a homeless client that 1. Identifies a specific individual, 2. Can be manipulated so that identification is possible, 3. Can be linked with other available information to identify a specific individual, names, date of birth, social security numbers, etc. Privacy application. Privacy standards applies to all agencies and programs that record, use, or process protected personal information, PPI, within PA-HMIS. This includes balance of state, PA 601, PA 509, and any other COC using PA-HMIS. Homeless service providers, PA-HMIS staff, employees, volunteers, affiliates, contractors, and associates who have access to PA-HMIS or its client information. 6 components of privacy. Data collection limitations, data quality, purpose and use limitations, openness, access and correction, accountability. Data collection. An agency may collect PPI only when appropriate to the purpose for which the information is obtained or when required by law. PPI must be collected by fair and lawful means. An agency must post a sign at each intake desk or comparable location that explains generally the reasons for collecting the information. Data quality. PPI collected by an agency must be relevant to the purpose for which it is used and should be accurate, complete, and timely. HUD does not allow for any answers to be supplied by staff. All answers come from clients. Purpose and use limitations. An agency must specify in its privacy notice the purpose for which it collects the PPI and must describe all uses and disclosures. An agency may disclose PPI only if the use of disclosure is allowed by this standard and is described in its privacy notice. Uses and disclosures not specified in the privacy notice can be made only with the consent of the individual or when law requires it. Openness. An agency must publish a privacy notice describing its policies and practices for the processing of PPI and provide a copy of its privacy notice to any individual upon request. An agency must state in its privacy notice that the policy may be amended at any time and that amendments may affect information obtained by the agency before the date of the change. Access and correction. In the interest of client access and full disclosure to their own personal protected information, every agency must allow an individual to inspect and to have a copy of any personal protected information about the individual. This includes access to any electronic data entered in HMIS or hard copy files on the premises. An agency must offer to explain any information that the individual may not understand. An agency must consider any request by an individual for correction of inaccurate or incomplete personal protected information pertaining to the individual. Accountability. An agency must establish a procedure for accepting and considering questions or complaints about its privacy policies and practices. An agency must require each member of its staff, including employees, volunteers, affiliates, contractors, and associates to assign annually or otherwise a confidentiality agreement that acknowledges receipt of a copy of the policy notice and that pledges to comply with the privacy notice. In summary, every agency that collects, uses, and shares PPI must have a published privacy notice, and it must be maintained and made available to the general public, and must also comply with other state, federal, and local confidentiality law. A privacy posting or consumer notice sign must be displayed at each intake desk or comparable location that explains the reason for the data collection. An agency must make available an agency's privacy notice describing the privacy practices to all clients that request a copy. Security. Security is the means of ensuring that data is kept safe from corruption and that access to it is suitably controlled. Security is about access to actual client data, whether that data is electronically stored or paper-based. Security applies to everyone that uses personal data. Security applies to all agencies and programs that record, use, or process personal protected information, commonly referred to as PPI, within HMIS. Security. Standards apply to balance of state and any other COC using HMIS. Homeless service providers, HMIS staff. Any employees volunteers, affiliates, contractors, and associates who have access to the PA-HMIS or its client information. This also means that any homeless service provider who does not receive HUD funding, such as a faith-based organization, city, state, or county agency that is accessing the system or client data, must adhere to the privacy and security requirements. Security applies to all agencies and programs entering data into PA-HMIS, regardless of the funding source. Security has three categories: system security, software application security, hard copy security. Our vendor, DCED, and agencies must apply system security provisions to all systems where personal protected information is stored, including but not limited to an agency's networks, desktops, laptops, cell phones, tablet, and/or portable devices, mainframes, and servers. The software vendor, in accordance with the Department of Community and Economic Development, DCED, adheres to the following standards and complies in the following mandates. Virus protection. Must protect HMIS systems from viruses by using commercially available virus protection software. Firewalls. Must protect HMIS systems from malicious intrusion behind a secure firewall. System monitoring. Must use appropriate methods to monitor security systems. Software application security. Each agency workstation, computer, or portable device should have a specific username and password that allows for access and should be non-generic in nature. For example, a username unique to the user, such as an email address, and a unique password with one uppercase, one lowercase, and one number, and a minimum of 8 characters. It is strongly encouraged that the password to your workstation and the password to your HMIS login be different. Workstations should be locked or have a timeout mechanism after a period of inactivity that places the computer into a password-enabled screensaver state, whereas the username and password must be re-entered into the computer to allow access again. HMIS also has a timed logout after a period of inactivity. Each agency workstation must have an individual username and password that is used to log on and use PA-HMIS. Written information specifically pertaining to user access, such as a username and password, may not be stored or displayed in any publicly accessible location. A PA-HMIS user must not provide their user access to any other member of the agency, and shared user access is strictly prohibited within the participation agreement and system user agreement. Under no circumstances should any user give their personal username and password to another agency user. This includes their supervisor or management team. PA-HMIS logs everything in an audit trail by user ID. Hard copy security. An agency must secure any paper or other hard copy containing personal protected information that is either generated by or for PA-HMIS, including but not limited to reports, data entry forms, and signed consent forms. An agency must always control any paper or other hard copy generated by or for PA-HMIS that contains PPI when the hard copy is in a public area. When an agency staff are not present, the information must be secured in areas that are not publicly accessible. We highly recommend keeping your files in a securely locked room or closet that can be closed when all staff have left for the night or weekend. Privacy and security. Privacy and security is everyone's responsibility. We are to ensure that clients' personal protected information remains confidential. Remember to review policies on a regular basis and keep them fresh in your mind during your daily activities. Thank you.